yeah, so I already made a video, but like, this is addictive. And I just wanted to say, oh, I like this double chin, girl. What? This camera makes you dry as fuck. I'm already dry. I already got a shower. But I was thinking about like putting on some makeup and then going to shower. You know, those quick little, oh yeah, let me go do a makeup look that I won't ever do outside and then just go and shower. But nah. Okay. So basically, the first video I'm gonna bring up is this little story about my ex-manager who, girl, this is a bitch that I do not fucking like. Like, I'm sorry, this is a bitch that really, really, really earned her title. So basically, my objective was to just start this job for 6 months. I'm out of here by 6 months. By the time I finished the first week of training, I was like, yo, 6 months is looking like 7 days, but I need that bread. So I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to stay here and, you know, just do my job, get this money and cut. And I was getting to that money. Like the 6 months that I stayed there, I think it was from May to September. And I think this was like after COVID, or after, it was after some stupid shit. Yeah, I feel like it was after COVID. So yeah, like basically, when she hired me, she was saying my name wrong. So I was like, yeah, that's not how you pronounce my name. Here's how you pronounce it. Or, no, not even or. And also I gave her a nickname to call me, you know? I just said, yeah, just call me this. And she didn't give a fuck. And I was just kind of confused as to why. Like, some days she would call me that, and then the other days she was just like, yeah. So sometimes she would call me by the nickname I gave her, and then other times she was just calling me out any other blood clot name. And I was just like, yo, nah. Like, I kept correcting her, but then I noticed like she kept trying to like embarrass me in front of like other employees. And I was just like, yo, if this is what you do at this job, I'm about to show you this is what I do in real life. Like, I don't give a fuck. Nobody's playing me for a freaking puppy show, and nobody is making me feel less than at a job that's not a career. Like, let's get into it, because one thing about me, I will work retail and customer service until I die, but it's not like a necessity. It's something that I like to do. I am a people person. I can solve problems. I can help you. But with this woman and the work environment she was leading, I was like, you know what? All that is out of the door, because this lady is just, she's like a virus, you know? Like when, what is it, that McAfee pops up and it's telling you, yo, you need to fix your computer? Yeah, she's the virus that the computer is alerting you about. Like, she was so bad. And I kept saying like, yo, like, you keep saying my name wrong, you know? And then she's just like, she wouldn't say anything. She would just say some weird, rude shit. And I was so confused by that, because I was just like, if you've been doing this job, okay, so hold on, backstory. She told me that she owns the store. She's a store manager and she's the manager. So I guess that is 2 different titles. I don't care, because from when you started to disrespect me was from when I was looking at you like, okay, I can lessen my interactions with this woman, but also this is my manager, so I'm sticking up for myself regardless. Because if I can't stick up for myself in front of customers or wherever I'm at besides this job, she's, you know, she's gonna think she runs things, and she really doesn't. So we got another manager, and by all means, this manager was, you know, she was black. And honestly, the race does play a point, because I realized that my manager, the store owner, and the manager, this one lady, she has 2 jobs, one gal, 2 jobs. You know, she is racist. Like, that's gonna come in later, but keep that in mind. So our new manager comes in, and she's black, and her name is the name my manager keeps calling me. And I'm like, this is fucked up. Like, this is stupid. So then the manager is like, oh, she keeps calling you my name. Like, how do you pronounce your name? And I said, yeah, this is how you pronounce my name. And I already gave her a nickname, so I don't know why she's doing this. And then the girl's like, yeah, you know, that's weird. And I'm like, yeah. And in my head, I'm like, okay, maybe this manager, you know, maybe this one is on my side. But no. No, nobody's on your side when you work. Like, when you work for other people, when it's an establishment, when it's a corporate thing, nobody's on your side. So yeah, so at the end of the day, I was just like, you know what, our regular manager, the store manager, oh God, I forgot to give her name. Her name's Lennisha. That's the name she kept saying. So that's her name. So yeah, so Lennisha was like, oh, she would just always like try to make it seem like me and her were size, and she was like a short, you know, Asian woman. And I was just like, okay. And she was, I'm not even gonna say she was a tourist because I like tourist people, but anywho, she was. And she was just, you know, like somebody I was just like, okay, maybe is she gay? Like, or does she like me and she's mad about it? Like, I don't know. Or she doesn't like me and she's mad that she has to see me every fucking day. Maybe that one. And I'm a pretty decent worker. Like, I do my job and I get the fuck out of here. But yeah, so basically she was just like, oh, she's trying to talk like some nonsense in front of these other women who were also like my colleagues. And I was like, I would always snap back. Like, I would always say something sassy, but like, it wasn't to the point where she was disrespected, because I was disrespected. I was saying something sassy to show her like, yo, you're not gonna win. I'm a young ting. Like, I can say something so fast and you'll be like, what's that? And she's always like, to the point where one of the ladies she was trying to make fun of me in front of, like, she was like, oh, she said one thing. She was just like, oh yeah, oh, you know, back in, this is how I got her Lennisha name. She's like, oh yeah, do you know what they used to call me back in the day? Lennisha. And I was just like, okay. And her name's nothing like that in real life. And I was just like, okay. And then she was like, and then I'm like, oh, I remember I said to her, I'm like, oh, are you my mom? And then she's like, no. And then I'm like, yeah, so this is how you say my name. And then the girl was like, oh, sassy. And I was just like, yeah. And then she felt away with that one because she was like, you know, I'm your manager, right? And I'm like, yeah, you know, this is my name, right? Like, I don't understand. Like, this is why when you're younger, like early 20s, even like 16, 17, 18, those numbers, those specific ages are when the people in the workplace will fucking use you up. And the thing is with me, I look young, not too much. Like, I've seen my face for years, so I know how I look, but I look young to some people who've never seen me before. So I guess she thought she could play a game, but I was just like, no, like, this is not what you think it is. Like, I'm fucking tired. I'm here because I need money for school. Like, it's not that serious for you to be making it seem like I'm a problem here when it's really you who keeps making these weird comments. And there was one comment she made in front of like a younger employee who was like, what, 18, 19, I don't know, one of those ages over there. Like, you know, before you're 21, she was in that little range. And she was also like a black girl. And, you know, you see an older black girl doing her thing and you're not trying to do anything but just see, oh, is she nice? Is she cool? And I was chilling, guys. I was chilling until I wasn't, but I was chilling. So we were like folding the clothes, right? And the manager comes on. She's like, oh, she's talking about me to the girl in front of me. She's like, oh yeah, I like her, but you know, there's just something about her that there's just something. And the girl's looking at her and she's like doing this awkward, you know, the awkward smile, and you're just like, what the fuck does that even mean? And I'm like, why would you say that? I'm like, what does that even mean? And she didn't say anything. And she's like, oh, you know, I'm just joking. You know, I'm just joking. She would always say she was just joking, but I've never laughed at none of those jokes. They were shit. And why are you joking about me like I'm joking with you? I don't know you. You are a manager. You're the manager. Why do you think you're coming out of your office and looking for me and then making a joke. Like, this is not funny. Nothing's funny here. Like, this is dumb. And I was getting so annoyed with that. But I was happy that she went away for a little bit. Like, she went on a trip. So remember the regular manager that came in, who had the name that she was calling me for all that time, she also noticed that when Lennisha was around, nobody was trying to talk to her. Nobody was trying to do shit. Nobody was like really paying attention. People were just trying to run away from her. The regular manager and the manager. But also, what happened before the trip? So basically, what would happen was that people would be talking about Lennisha, and I didn't know. Like, before all this name call, like wrong name calling and being really inappropriate in front of other staff and like other people, before that, a lot of the other managers and like sales associates, people, they were already talking about this woman. And I was like, one thing about me, I will forget your name, because once I know you're like the manager, okay. But one thing about Lennisha, I didn't really remember her name the first time I met her. And I was just like, yo, that's probably a sign, because she should be forgotten. But not in that way. But I was just like, yo, who are they talking about? And I noticed every time I'd come around, they would shush. They would be quiet. And I'm like, who the fuck are you guys talking about? And they'd be like, oh, Lennisha. Or they'd be like, And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm like, yo, there's no way they're talking about me, because I'm not doing anything. I'm here. I'm working the cash. I'm folding the clothes. Like, you know, I'm fixing the socks and stuff. So I was just confused by that. But once I caught on, I was like, oh, this is not something that's just happening to me. This is something that she does to everybody. So I was like, yeah, it's not gonna work around here with me, buddy. So so what happened was, yeah, she went on her trip, and the manager who she was calling, the name she was trying to give me, she was like, oh my god, you guys are working so good, yo, we're out of here so fast. Because the week was flying by. Everybody was fucking happy as shit, because that lady was, she was a hardcore. Like, she was somebody who you're just like, nah, I don't even want to talk to her. And it's not even like she was an ugly person, like looks wise, like in attractiveness. She wasn't ugly. But when she would talk, oh shit, you're just like, nah. By the time that week was finished, she came back, and everybody was back on their like, man, like, I'm just gonna try to, you know, avoid seeing her, just trying to do my own thing and just get to work, like go on the floor. And the regular manager was like, yo, what is going on? Why is everybody acting this? Why all of a sudden everybody's scattering and not trying to interact? And it's like, girl, you don't see her? Like, you don't see this? But the thing is, with the managers, no, they don't, they're never on our side. Like, they don't care. And that's what I learned when I started to get harassed at this job. And I don't know why I got so quiet. Honestly, it's embarrassing, but low-key, it's not what you think, okay? So when I got hired, it was like a big hiring group, and I might have been like one of the oldest people to get hired, and then everybody else was like in college and like maybe grade 10 high school. Like, I don't know, I wasn't really counting, you know? So by the time everybody got introduced to everybody, like, I was introduced to everybody, but I was kind of like, you know, sometimes when you're the oldest, people want to know what you know. And it's just like, girl, right now, I don't know anything. It's summertime. It's hot as fuck. I'm here. I have a job, summer job, and I don't really want this, but I need to, because there's no other way I was going to get this cheddar. Okay? There's no other way I was going to get this dollar. So let me just get this job, because I'm not going to lie. I like to work. I like doing what I want to do, and I like being the one who brings that to the table for myself. I don't like people having, not even a one-up on me. I don't like people having anything to say about what I got going on, because I have to do this, you know? So, yeah. So with this girl, there's this random girl. Let's call her Vashti. Okay. So yeah, so Vashti, you know, I wasn't really minding my business because I was looking at her because she had long hair, and I was like, oh, okay, long hair, ton up. And at one point, she, like, I don't know, it was just different because nobody really comes up to me and it was like, oh yeah, I know who you are. You're Jamaican. I have Jamaican friends. Like, nobody does that shit to me, you know? Like, I've never experienced that before. Oh God, I'm getting hot. Oh God, I can't believe I have to relive this. Yeah, so she said that to me and I was kind of turned off. Like, I'm not gonna lie. I was like, yeah. I was like, okay. And then I just walked away. And then I guess she felt away, and it's granted, whatever. She felt away because I wasn't talking to her. Like, I was talking to everybody else. And, you know, sometimes women, we can be very catty, and in the workplace is where it shows up. And for me, I was kind of like annoyed with her. It is so fucking hot. So yeah, I was like annoyed with her and just that interaction, because don't walk up on me and ask, not even ask, just tell me who I am. You see how me get hot? Holy. Yeah, so I was just like, you know, I was kind of over it. So there was a little bit of clicks, but there was also people who just talk to whoever. If we're working together, I'm going to talk to you. If you're not talking back to me and we have to work together, this is a problem, because we're not going to get home at a good time and everybody wants to leave. So, I ended up working with a few girls who were ignoring me at the time, and I was just like, you know what, fuck this. Like, I'm going to the manager, not Lennisha. I was going to the other girl, and I was like, yo, like, we gotta go. And if they're not letting me speak and they're just talking amongst themselves, and I know what to do so that we can hurry up and get out of here, I'm not trying to work with them right now. Like, put me in a different section. So she did. She put me in another section, and I was like, okay, cool. Sorry, I'm a girl that applies lip gloss because my lips are dry underneath this. Dry. Anyways, so yeah, so she put me in another section, and she put me where Vashti was. And Vashti, I don't know about her. I don't know about her, okay? I don't know too much about her, but it seemed like she wanted to be friends. But that was a weird start, and I'm not gonna lie. Like, I didn't like that. Like, I didn't like, oh, you're Jamaican, I have Jamaican friends. I was like, okay, like, not every Jamaican person is, like, yes, out of many, but, like, you and me are, your friend and me are not one. Like, I don't know you, and plus, I'm older than you. So, and I'm saying it like that as in, like, I've already met women and young women who are like this, who are just, yeah, I know you. Already off rip, you know me. Like, that's weird. So, yeah, she just started, like, talking, and I started to ignore her because she was kind of getting weird. Like, I don't really know exactly what she was doing. Oh, hold on, I do. So, she started to, she started to, like, yell, like, no. Before she started yelling, she was telling the manager that was on site, that was just, like, watching us, because the manager that we had, she would go and do some other stuff because she was working at a different location and coming here just because our Lennisha was gone and all this crap. So basically what happened was, she was telling the manager on site, oh, like, I have to go home. Like, it's 10:30. My bus comes at this time. Like, I gotta go home. And everybody was looking at her like, what the fuck? The girl, it's 10:30. Everybody bus is wherever it's gotta be at. Like, we still gotta clean this store up. Like, this store is looking like shit. The store is trashed. And then the manager is just looking at her like, okay, like, you gotta go right now while we're cleaning, in the middle of cleaning? Like, you gotta go? Let me turn this light down. Okay, cool. Yeah, she's like, sorry, I hope you can't hear that shit. But yeah, she's like, okay, you have to go right now, like, right when we're cleaning. And the girl yelling. Vashti's yelling at the lady. She's like, yeah, I have to leave now. Like, I gotta go now. And we're all just looking at her like, yo, this bitch is crazy. Because I would never talk to no, like, the way people in customer service, like who actually work customer service and are good at their job, they don't act like this. Like, they don't talk to other people like this. So I was very shocked, but also I was just like, not everybody's one person, you know? Not everybody is gonna react the way you would react. So I was keeping that in mind, but also I was looking at this girl like, yo, if you leave, we're gonna be here for a very long time. Like, we will not be able to go home at a decent time. You're leaving at 10:30, we're gonna leave at 1 a.m. like that one extra person, it counts. Like, that one body is so needed, you know? So the lady was like, yeah, okay, whatever, just go then, just leave. And before she left, she had to clean up a little bit more. And then I guess she ended up being around me because I was working with her still, right? We were in like a little group, like 4 or 5 on one side of the store. So I don't know what she was saying, but at one point she just started like yelling like at me, and I was ignoring her. And then she asked somebody who we work with, she was like, yo, what's her name? What's her name? Because yes, she wasn't addressing me as my name, and that's one thing I don't fuck around with. So I was just like, yo, like, what the hell? In my head, I'm like, yeah, I'm ignoring this bitch, and these other bitches over here were acting fucked up, and now this girl's acting crazy. Like, I'm tired too, bitch. I wanted to leave from 10 a.m. from when I came. Like, I've been wanting to go home. So yeah, like, basically she was, what is that? Oh, that's like the blue, I don't know what that's, whatever. So yeah, so she was like yelling, she's like, yo, what's her name, what's her name? And then the guy behind her, who definitely knows my fucking name, was like, yo, I don't even know, man, I don't even know still. And I was like, oh, cool, I'm glad you didn't tell her shit, because if she was yelling my name, I would be so irritated. So that happened. And then throughout like the months, people kept like talking. And the thing is with Vashti, I didn't know her name. So I just knew it was the girl with the long hair that I was not feeling, who came up to me and was saying all this stupid shit. So throughout the weeks and the months of me working there, people would come up to me and be like, yo, I hate this girl. Yo, I hate this girl. And I'm like, who the fuck are you talking about? Like, I'm like, yo, who are you talking about? And they're like, yo, Vashti. And man, I'm like, yo, I've never met this girl before. Because me, once I don't like you, you see my hands? Gone. Like, you are not in my thinking space. You're not in my mind. You're not in my head. You're nowhere. You're nowhere to be found. You know how Cardi B said, oh, this bitch has condos in her head? Or whatever Cardi B said. Yeah, nobody's living here but me. Like, holy fuck. So yeah. So basically, I was kind of confused. I'm like, yo, who is this? Who the fuck are they talking about? So one thing about that first incident, I'm not sure if I think I did report it. Actually, no, I didn't. I reported the second one, but hold on. It's gonna make sense, because I'm like, yo, like, who is this Vashti girl? Who's this Vashti girl? Mind you, I knew who she was, but I forgot about her. So when one of my coworkers explained it and how she's like so rude, I'm like, wait, are you talking about this girl? And then she walked, like, we seen her, and I'm like, oh fuck. So it's not just me. Like, I'm thinking this bitch just has it out for me. I'm thinking, just like how I thought my manager was a dunce, she's a dunce to everybody. So from when I realized like everybody had a problem with her, I was like, oh, okay, nah, like, I really have to stay away from this bitch. But the thing is, with working sales, customer service, you are going to be on the floor with your team, and she's the team, I'm the team. So I'm not avoiding her. There's no way. Like, I could be mute, but we're gonna have to interact. And this video might be 2 parts, but yeah. So she was just like, yeah, yo, this girl's crazy. Like, everybody's always talking about her and how she's like so rude and disrespectful. And the girl was saying, this lady who's also who works with us, she was like, yo, like, I hate her. And I'm like, damn, like, how do you already hate this bitch? I just don't like her. Like, I was just not feeling her energy. But if you already hate her, that means like she was doing something. So I end up working cash with Vashti, and I put that aside. Like, one thing about me, I'm gonna put that take that shit outside. I'm sorry. Yo, I put that aside because I want to get this job done. I want to finish my shift and cut. Like, call it fake, call it customer service, call it what you want, but I want to go home. Like, this job is, the 6 months is looking like 3 years. Like, it's painful here. And it was hot, bro. Like, can you imagine taking the transit and going from your house, waiting outside at the bus stop, going on the damn transit, and you're just like, yo, I've been sweating already. But one thing about me, I showered. So anyways, yeah. So yeah, like, we were on cash, and some things you don't know, right? Because some things they train you see it once, and then you're on your own. So one thing about this girl, one thing about Vashti, she was trolleying up and down. She's like, oh yeah, I can do this, I can do that. And I'm like, okay, cool. Since you can do this, since you're ranting and saying you can help me with this cash register because it's freaking complicated, you know, I asked for help. One time, no, I didn't even ask. One thing I did was she offered. I was like, oh, okay, hold on, let me get somebody, because our store had a sale and I need to punch in the correct amount, right, to make the sale valid. So she came over. No, first of all, hold on. She was looking over at me, and I was calling for help, and none of the managers were available. So she's like, yeah, I know how to do this. I've been doing this all day. And I'm like, okay, cool. She comes, punches in the sale. Mind you, my customer is watching me having a hard time and getting Vashti to come and help me. So when Vashti comes, she's punching in the sale, and I'm like, okay, this is great. And then, mind you, I'm already having one nice go kick up conversation with the customer. She's about to be on her way, and then she leaves. I'm like, okay, that was good, you know, this broad helped me, thanks. But I was like, okay, maybe I'm wrong about this broad. No, the fuck I wasn't, because customer comes back like 10 minutes later. She's like, yeah, you did this wrong. This is not the right amount that I'm supposed to get back. Like, you gave me more. And I was like, oh, okay. So I didn't do it, right? But it shows up on my till as me doing this, punching it in. But Vashti did it for me. So I'm like, let me get Vashti to help me, because if she was so eager to do this for me and she did it wrong, she can eagerly come correct it. So the thing is with her, she came over and she's like, what'd you do wrong now? What'd you do wrong now? I said, boy, hold on. I'm like, what do you mean, what did I do wrong now? Remember when you helped her out? Come and fix this for me. And she's like, oh, what'd you do? Why'd you do that? Oh, you did this wrong? And then my customer's like, yo, what's wrong with her? And I'm like, and it's an older woman, okay? Like, one thing about older women, they're gonna call out bullshit before you. And plus, she doesn't work here. She's a customer. So for the customer to even see that this is what Vashti's on, like, she's trying to blame me, I was just like, yo, this is fucking embarrassing. Like, this is fucking whack. And then I'm just like, yeah, this is why I didn't like this bitch at the first interaction. She came up to me. I'm never going up to you sometimes. But yeah, like, so the customer was like, yo, what's wrong with her? Why is she acting like she didn't just do this for me? And I'm like, yeah, why is she acting like this? Like, what's wrong with her? So the customer's like, nah, like, why? I don't understand why she's acting like that towards you. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know either, man. But let me go call somebody to fix it, because she couldn't even fix it. So I finally got the manager to come and fix it. And then I told the manager, I'm like, yo, like, she was trying to make me seem like a joke in front of the customer, and the customer's still here. And the customer's like, yeah, like, that's what she was really doing. She was saying like, oh, I did that and I never did it. And I was just like, yo, I don't know what's wrong with her. Like, what is going on? Like, this is not the first interaction where she's been a little bit insane. And then the manager's like, you know what? Like, I'm not even gonna lie, a lot of people have been talking about her. And I'm like, yeah, I realized, because one thing's for sure, I didn't know this girl's name, but I knew about her character before I even really knew that I've already spoken to this girl. Actually, I didn't speak to her. She spoke to me. Like, she was at me, and I was just so confused. I was like, yo, what the fuck? Like, what type of young girls are over here? So that happened, and I had to, like, we had to be more strict with our tills. Like, you can't just let somebody come over here and just, you know, do whatever the fuck they want and then go back to their till. Their till's good and your shit's fucked up. So the manager was just like, oh, you know, just don't share with other people. And I was just like, okay, I won't. So that was another thing too. Like, a lot of people were forgetting their tills, and I was one of the people that was like, okay, just use my thing. And that was a no-go. Like, yeah, so basically, yeah, so I had to report that. And then I think like another week happened, like another week went by, and then I still wasn't talking to her. Like, I was kind of ignoring her because, yo, like, you just made it seem like I was in the wrong when it was you who said you could do something and you didn't know what you were doing and you did it wrong, and then you didn't want to correct your wrong. So I was just like, yo, fuck. Like, I can't really work with this girl, you know? So that's what I realized. And then I had like a morning shift. So she was working too, and I was coming over to take over her shift. So I wasn't expecting to have no big, long interaction. Like, I wasn't expecting to have nothing. I was not trying to say any words. So by the time I was coming over there to like be in the fitting room and relieve her of her time there, yo, this bitch started yelling like loud. And it's 11 a.m. like, it's early, like it's before 12. So she had like an older lady in front of her, and she was like, hey, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hey, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Loud as fuck. And I'm like, everybody, it was so quiet in the store. Everybody was just looking at her, like yelling. And I'm like, yo, I really need to make sure like this bitch gets spoken to, because this is ridiculous. And I was so taken back because I was just like, I'm just like, yo, like, I could fully, like, I'm right here. I can fully hear you. Like, I don't understand why you're yelling. And the thing is, what she was saying was, oh, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? And she's yelling my name. And I was like, yo, why is she saying that? And then I remembered when she was trying to talk to me the second time she interacted with me, I was ignoring her. So she's saying like, hey, can you hear me? Like, yo, she held that and brought it up weeks later. And I was just like, oh, this bitch holds grudges. Cool. I'm like, okay, this is whack, but I shouldn't be on your mind like this. Like, I shouldn't be somebody you feel like you have to keep interacting with like this. Because one thing about me, I'm not gonna touch you. I'm not gonna talk to you. You're gonna play yourself out of this job. And she did. So that was one thing that made me go to my manager, who's being called my name. So, or the name that, who's being called the name that Lennisha was trying to call me. One thing about it, I went to the manager and I was just like, yo, like, this girl literally, it's borderline harassment. And I was just like, yo, like, what are we gonna do? You know? And she was just like, oh, well, I can't really do anything about that. And I was just like, say a word. See? Perfect example. Not on your side. So I was like, oh, okay. But mind you, I was already prepared to leave this job. But this lady not having my back, and I'm gonna have to bring in the race card with it too. But also, not all skin folk are kinfolk. Is that it? Well, yeah, that's true. But also, I can't really blame her, because I know what it is in the corporate world. Because in reality, everybody wanted Lennisha's job. Everybody who was higher than an employee, and was a manager and was good at this shit, wanted her job. So, and I'm not gonna lie, like, it is what it is. I would want her job too if I was clearly better at it. And if the employees were, I don't know why my voice is shaking, but like, I haven't relived this little incident in a minute, so I'm kind of a bit overwhelmed. But whew, I'm gonna edit that. But yeah, like, she basically it was no help. And I realized, yo, I can't take this to heart, because if this manager was in Lennisha's shoes, she would probably, I don't know what she would say, because by the time it got around to Lennisha, I already went to HR. And the thing is, I went to HR, like, there's a provincial HR, like where I live, there's a provincial and then there's a federal. I didn't know there was a provincial. I just went online and I typed in HR. I must have went to the federal one. And I'm sorry I'm laughing, but like, I went to the federal. I'm laughing because that was a mistake, but I didn't know. I wanted some help. Like, yo, like if I'm going to work and this is the reality of me working here, and she's just, and Vashti's somebody who's just gonna get away with being rude, you know, nah, like that's not it. Like she gotta get up off this employee list. Like she's gotta go. But I didn't know. I'm saying she's gotta go now because I realize that's what happens. But what would you do if you had an employee who's a fucking menace? What would you do? Would you keep the employee there and tell one of her freaking victims, many victims she had, you know? So would you tell them, yeah, like you gotta go instead of her? And that's basically what Lennisha was saying to me, because Lennisha ended up seeing me the next day and she's like, oh, why didn't you go to the HR at our work? And I'm like, yo, I never see this girl. I see this girl one time and I only see her eyeballs because we were all wearing masks. So I was just like, I didn't see her. You weren't here either. So she was just like, oh, and why didn't you tell me? I'm like, yeah, because you weren't here. Like, I didn't see you. And when I went to the manager who was here, she wasn't trying to fix nothing. So I was like, nah, like, I'm good. I'm definitely gonna just take this to the top. Like, I'm sorry. There's nobody else that's gonna help me. You didn't call my mom and say, yo, this little girl fuck me up. Like, this little girl's bunning me. No, I'm taking it to the top. You know when Mr. Ray was like, I'm acting like a white woman. I'm suing. Bitch, yeah. Get corporate. Bring it up. Bring it to the level that they bring it to, because there's no way they're gonna help you. Especially if you look like Ma. You know, they're not gonna help you. And that was one thing I learned. So I was just like, yo, like, I don't understand how Lennisha's bringing down the hammer on me. I'm like, why? I'm like, what? Like, what's wrong with you? And she's like, yeah, Vashti is really upset. She's really sad, you know. She says you don't talk to her. And I'm like, why would I talk to somebody who yells at me? What? What are we talking about? What are we talking about? Why would I talk to somebody who is just automatic, electronic, supersonic, freaking crazy aggressive as soon as she meets somebody? Like, and the thing is, she's young. And I was like, yeah, I've been young too, and I've been a piece of shit, but not at the job that pays me, girl. You gotta know when to act up. And this is the worst time to act, because we're not friends. I don't know you. And that was the first thing that stuck in my mind, because she was like, yeah, I have Jamaican friends. She's like, oh yeah, I have Jamaican friends. I was like, okay, like, what the fuck does that have to do with me? Girl, this is a job. This is a place of business. I'm not your friend. Like, I am not your friend. And it's clear that I am also not a friend to Lennisha, not a friend to Vashti, because the way they were trying to make it seem like I did the worst thing by going to HR instead of going to Lennisha, when Lennisha was already doing her own thing. Like, she was somewhere where I couldn't find her. And that's why I went to the girl that was being called the name Lennisha was calling me. I don't have a name for her, and I don't want to give her a name. But yeah, so, and then Lennisha ends up talking to me, and she's just like, oh, you know, she's here in Canada with nobody. She's on a school visa. And I'm like, wow. In my head, I'm just like, you're not making me feel no way towards this girl, but confused. Because if you're on a fucking school visa and you just happen to get a job, Do you know how fucking amazing that is? Do you know how blessed you are to get a job? And this is what you're doing with the job? Like, yo, I was just like, yo, I don't understand what her issue is. Like, are you mad that school's hard and now you have to have a customer service job and you talk to people and you realize you're pretty bad at it? Like, I don't know what it was. So Lennisha was saying, she's like, okay, so what if she apologizes to you? And Lennisha said this whole long apology. She was giving me the business. Like, she was just like, okay, you know, I'm sorry about this. Like, I just want to be a team. Like, we have to be a team. It's all of us, you know. The customer is not always, like, she's saying so much stupid shit. And I was just like, yeah, but she literally, she did all this. She did all of this. Like, the introduction to Vashti was her being terrible. So I was so confused as to why. Oh, my voice is shaking. Okay, part 2 tomorrow, yo.